Welcome to the 1 o'clock no sour haha funny hour. No sour happy fun time haha power hour. Welcome to the no sour fun time haha power hour.
Oh, she did it.
I got it.
I think she's got it. By George, she's got it. By George, she's got it.
Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time. This is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin!
Hello, Wisconsin. Welcome to the No Sour Haha Fun Time Power Hour, which is extra haha and fun time because it's Friday.
It is Friday.
We have 1 hour, and then Jane and I are free to relax,
Yes.
basically. But this has been a great week of shows.
It really has.
And I'm ready to sleep. But not yet.
Not
We
yet.
still have this hour.
We got good stuff coming up.
We have some good stuff coming up, and had a good hour of guests. So if you missed either of those, I guess any of those, because there was 3 in total, 2 in the first half hour, Bill McCoshen and Scott Ross talking about the election coming up on Tuesday.
We definitely have to get them back.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Well, especially because Bill, I know that Bill had a big day of press.
today.
Yeah, I think he was on Up Front. He was on other radio shows. And so I forgive him. I will not take it personally that he was a little late to our segment today because I think he was running around. But certainly having both of them come on and, duke it out a little bit.
But as you said, it is part of the goal of this show and actually of civic media is to hear different sides of things and at least not live in a bubble.
Well, certainly. And that's why I wish we would have had more time with Bill, because when I asked him what is firing the base, like what has gotten conservatives fired up, I wish I would have been able to push him a little bit harder, because his answer was, the objective nature of the Supreme Court. And I was like, really? Like, that's what's firing people up? I can see why people who are actual legal experts, people who follow this stuff super closely, for them, that maybe the purity of that is very important. But to counterbalance the guttural instinct, I think that the abortion issue is front and center for so many people, and people have very strong feelings on that. It's hard for me to imagine that there is a ton of people with the same emotional response on the conservative side as people are having about rights being taken away.
Well, and I certainly haven't seen any keep the gerrymander signs. Keep it, keep it, keep it. It's so good. And because, it just, no.
Yeah. And so, to be fair to everyone involved, we get to sit here as a media and be objective. We're not carrying water. We have our opinions, but we're not strategists, right?
No one's paying us.
No one's paying us.
For that.
We're not pushing a message because on behalf of campaigns or on behalf of a party, we get to be pretty honest. I'm pretty honest. Are you pretty honest?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I also, he's not going to come on here and be like, well, wish we would have gotten more people fired up. And so, but it's just the instinct of what is, besides just rooting for tribalism and rooting for your side, the issue that is gotten people excited to go, like in a 2016 Trump excited to go turnout type attitude. But they were at the noon hour. Alan Borsick, always super interesting to talk to as far as education in Wisconsin, and been, literally reporting on this since I was a kid. And so if you want to go back and listen to that conversation, you can always find it at asgoeswisconsin.com/listen, which is where you can always find the show notes, which is where I put in links to the videos and articles and everything we reference that you can't see because this is a radio show,
right,
and a podcast.
But if you want to learn more and you can read the links, you can read all the articles and all that stuff. It's really a wealth of information.
And so, so go back. Actually, this whole week you should go back and listen. The Piper Parabo interview yesterday was fantastic. Corey Ryan Forrester on Wednesday was fantastic.
Yeah,
we really
great.
had some great guests, and we have a great guest, another big guest in the lead up to Tuesday's election. Mr. Bradley Woodford is going to be here. And
wait, the West Wing, Bradley
The West
Whitford?
Wing, The Handmaid's Tale, Billy Madison, lots of different, been an actor for a very long time, went to Madison East. It's originally from Wisconsin, still very involved in Wisconsin politics. So if you have ideas of what we should ask him, shoot us an email, asgoeswisconsin@civicmedia.us, because that's what I will be thinking about this weekend. Is we already burned pitching Wisconsin sitcoms, so I got to come up with
David Mandel.
to David Mandel 2 weeks ago, and so now I have to come up with a new fun game because he'll be here for a half hour. So gotta put our thinking caps on.
Also coming up on Monday, just to book this earlier this morning, author Jeff Charlet is going to be joining us. And he has done many books about some of the far-right Christian movements in this country, and recently spent some time in Wisconsin talking to people who are pretty extreme.
Yeah.
So he's gonna stay. He'll be with us for half an hour or two on Monday, starting at 12 noon.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, so another big show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll turn off the show and go listen to the Brewers game, because they'll be there. And that game starts at 1 on Monday, and we'll wrap up our show and then go cheer on the Brewers. But for today, since we still have a show today, I guess the first question I want to ask, and we'll take your stories as you have them. But April Fool, I mean, this is the end of March.
Yep.
April Fools is tomorrow,
right? And
I feel like maybe we're too old for April Fools, but you never know.
Some people do this well into their old age.
And I'm not a huge prankster. Like, my mind doesn't think of that way of like, ooh, how can we play a fun joke on someone, or like take advantage of people being gullible. Like, that's not necessarily the way my brain works, but I like, a harmless prank. The pranks on like The Office. When everything's in Jell-O.
Who doesn't love that?
Or I saw a great one with some college dorm room girls, and I don't know if this was April Fool's specifically, but while their roommate was home for Christmas, they literally gift wrapped her entire bedroom.
That. Yeah, I saw it. Everything,
the walls,
yes.
Everything. So she just walked in, and like the I don't even know how many rolls of wrapping paper they went through to do that. But I mean, it's annoying because then you have to undo everything, but it doesn't hurt anything. And it's like the applaud the effort it took to actually get it done. So, but then sometimes they're just mean. And I think it's like a bad joke. It's like a punching down joke where it's just not very good.
Yes.
So if you have a great April Fool's story, either something that was done to you or maybe that you did to someone else, we would love to hear it. 844-967-2789. That is 844-96-PARTY. Since we will not be on air on April Fools, if you got a good story, let's hear it. As far as a good prank, not a mean prank, but I have one that my brother and I did to his girlfriend at the time.
Okay. And
I will share that in the next segment. Because for now, as we're waiting for people to share their stories, again, 844-967-2789. What is your best April Fool's Day story? This is not an April Fool's Day joke.
No, it's not.
This is real. And I'm sure Ron DeSantis wishes it was a April Fool's Day joke, but it is not. It is looks like Disney has added a new character to the Magic Kingdom, the troll.
Okay.
So, as you might be aware, since the Don't Say Gay bill, Ron DeSantis has been at odds, let's say, with Disney.
Yeah, big time.
And the massive company that is, the destination for why a lot of people go to Florida every year. But the company quietly entered agreements that rendered the board the board Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had handpicked to govern the special tax district surrounding Disney World nearly powerless. And so basically, for 55 years, the state allowed Disney to make its own rules for developing the land where its theme park sits. But after the company criticized the so-called Don't Say Gay bill,
right,
DeSantis installed his own board to run the district. And with the new board in place, it looked like Ron DeSantis had won until Disney pulled a little switcheroo. And when the board was still Disney controlled, it entered into restrictive covenants for the land that, one, bar the new board from using the Disney name or any of the company's IP, including Mickey Mouse, and gives the district the right to review any proposed changes to properties in the district. So basically, they're just allowed to like maintain roads now. And the best part of this is that this agreement is valid until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England.
What?
And so this is, I mean, I think it's probably Bob Iger's now CEO of Disney again. And I don't like, when I think of Bob Iger or like Jeff Bezos or some of these like super high powered CEOs, like I think of Succession. Like I just think of some of these CEOs as like, I will crush you. Like you think that you can go toe to toe with me. I will absolutely crush you.
You're going to lose.
And I can't help but think that they were like, because they just went around and everything was public. They did this everything so far. It's like I was reading an NPR article about this morning that NPR even said like mea culpa, that like they did this, all of the board, all of the meetings where they were passing all these things was public knowledge or open to the public, open to be reported on. Everyone had access to know that this was happening and no one raised a red flag. And because Disney was just acting super compliant with like, okay, we will go along with this and just bided their time. And yet it sounds like, at least on its face, because there's certainly going to be lawsuits about this.
Sure.
But it doesn't necessarily sound like there's a lot of grounds to actually reverse what they did, which it was already such an overreach of Ron DeSantis and the fact that like conservatives who say small government, like it was such a backhand to that. But hats off, Bob Iger.
Well, hey, the mouse has got some awfully good attorneys.
All right, we will be right back. We want to hear your April Fool's stories. 844-967-2789.
Civic Media promised you something big to celebrate our new and still growing network of radio stations. When we announced the one-day $1 million advertising giveaway for Wisconsin businesses, you responded.
Just wanted to echo your sentiments about the advertising. That's really a cool deal and really remarkable.
$1 million of free advertising. Now, if you missed this chance to work with our team, go to civicmedia.us and click on the sponsorship tab. One of our local sales pros will get right back to you. Civicmedia.us and sponsorship.
I was just curious as to why you called it the Paul Revere Show.
The Paul Revere Show is named this way because the poem that we all know, the famous ride, the poem was written to rally the troops to fight slavery and fight for democracy. And so I named the show the Paul Revere Show because I thought it was the time to get on the air and talk about democracy.
The Paul Revere Show with Mark Thompson. Listen Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. always on the Civic Media app.
What grows in the forest? Our imagination and our family bonds. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Cloudy skies this afternoon with a chance for isolated storms. Highs level off around 63. South winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Isolated thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 34. Cloudy. Mixed precipitation likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 39. Cloudy skies expected. A dusting of snow tomorrow. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 57 degrees.
The Shaw 101 FM, New Berlin's choice for news talk radio. Streaming 24/7 at WAUKradio.com.
Waking up in the morning, gotta be fresh, gotta go downstairs, gotta have my bowl.
Is this Rebecca Black?
Yes. I thought you must know this song.
I was a little too old to
get on that.
To get on this anthem.
The Friday.
The Friday. I think I was in my mid-20s, and it was certainly in the crowd of being like, "This is so dumb."
The 12-year-olds loved it.
Yeah, I think so.
They did.
I forgot what she ended up doing. Rebecca Black. Just
a flash. She was a flash.
She was a flash, but I feel like she ended up doing something. I mean, she had super rich parents, which is how that whole thing got made in the first place. Because her parents basically like could fund her recording her own song.
Oh wow!
And then the internet got wind of it. We're like, wow, this is awful. But it is Friday.
She's got 2 independent EPs.
There you go.
Her debut studio album, Let Her Burn, was just released in February.
There you go. So she's still doing stuff.
She's still making music.
But tomorrow is April Fool's Day, and I think some people are waiting to find out whether or not Elon is punking everyone. Because tomorrow is supposed to be the day where Twitter will begin removing legacy verified badges.
Oh boy.
From individuals and organizations approved under the company's previous criteria, which, both on most social medias, when you had the little blue check mark, it basically meant that you were you were either a company, it verified you were who you said you were.
Exactly.
And it was companies, celebrities, journalists,
people in the public eye.
And now, I mean, I would say that I already on Twitter, because now you can, it's been like there's been the legacy verification, and then there's the people who are paying $8 or $12 a month or whatever it is to get the check mark. So now when I see a check mark, I don't really take it seriously as far as someone that I'm supposed to like know who this person is.
Sure.
Versus the random person. Like I will, and I love him dearly. And I doubt that he's listening, so I'm going to throw him under the bus. But my brother started paying for Twitter. And so now my brother, who has like 300 followers, has a little blue check mark. And he doesn't even tweet that much. He mostly consumes information versus me, who recently, now on As Goes Wisconsin, we're past 8,000 followers.
Yay!
No check mark. And so it's like, I feel like the blue check mark on Twitter now means nothing.
Absolutely.
It just means like, oh, you paid to have it.
Yes.
And there are other benefits that go with paying for it. Like I think you get an edit button, like there's other features to it. But as far as the status symbol of having a blue check mark, meaning something, and also for the kind of quick identifying of people who are verified who've been potentially engaged with your account. But so Elon's trying to say like, oh, like all people should have equal access to getting it and all this other stuff. But I still think it's dumb. But he's been saying that because for a while they were going to have the legacy and the paid blue check marks. But they're saying as of tomorrow, they will begin removing legacy verified badges from individuals and organizations. And going forward, only paying customers will be granted the verified check marks, which are now blue for individuals, gold for brands and companies, and gray for governmental organizations.
Oh, my.
And so I think for individuals, it's like, I don't know, I think it's somewhere between $8 and $12 a month. But Twitter says it's going to charge businesses and organizations $1,000 per month, including nonprofits and governments, to retain their verification status. And so it's suspect to me that they're doing this on April 1st. But who knows? I mean, they do need to make money. They're like hemorrhaging money right now.
Big time. Yes.
And so I just don't know. Maybe for companies, it'll be worth it because look, we all saw what happened with Eli Lilly in that their stock prices plummeted when someone bought a verified blue check mark and then
claiming to be them.
created an Eli Lilly account. But I don't know. I just don't see the appeal for this as an individual. Like, I think, there's other arguments that, like, because now there's a For You page on Twitter, which they just stole from TikTok, which is instead of just seeing, you have your following page, which is the people you've chosen to follow, and then you have your For You page, which is then giving you things of people you don't necessarily follow that they think you might be interested in,
Right.
which is exactly how TikTok works. But, if you don't get the only people who are verified are going to be pushed on the For You page and stuff. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if this is it. So we'll find out tomorrow if this is a joke or not. And maybe we'll leave it up to the masses to talk about it a little bit more next week.
And one of the best things about April Fool's Day is the onmilwaukee.com April Fool's edition.
That is true.
It's magnificent.
That's true.
They spend all year, I think, coming up with bogus stories based, with a grain of truth in them. And I highly recommend you check out their website tomorrow on Milwaukee.com because they're hilarious.
I always forget.
They're just hilarious. That is the best thing about April Fool's Day.
Because you don't seem like someone who is a big April Fool's person.
Well, you know how I dislike surprises.
You hate surprises.
So can you imagine how happy I would be if I opened my car door and a bunch of ping pong balls fell out of it? Yeah, I'd be thrilled.
Has anyone ever gotten you?
Not that I can remember.
Not that was like a lasting image of you, then you went to jail because you killed them.
They can't find the bodies, so there's no crime. Where's the crime?
That's a good point.
Right?
I would never dare prank you, Shane.
I think
all right.
that's wise.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Mike Ruzika, who is the president of the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors. We're going to be talking about the Home and Garden show at the Wisconsin State Fair this weekend. All of the home improvement and garden stuff you'll ever want to see or have or learn about. We're going to talk about that when we come back. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
So excited. We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday comes afterwards. I don't want this weekend to end.
R&B, Rebecca Black. So chillin' in the front side, in the backseat. I'm driving, cruising, fast lanes, switching lanes with a car by my side. Come on, passing by is a school bus in front of me. Makes tick tock, on the street. Check my time, it's Friday, it's a weekend. We gonna have fun. Come on, y'all.
A progressive voice from Beaver Dam to Kenosha. WAUK 540 AM. Always streaming at WAUKradio.com.
CBS News Special Report. It is all hands on deck in New York following a grand jury's decision to indict former President Trump. Here's CBS's Jim Axelrod.
The NYPD has ordered every employee to report in full uniform today. That includes roughly 36,000 officers and 19,000 civilian employees.
Mr. Trump continues to deny allegations ahead of his arraignment Tuesday. CBS's Robert Costa.
Trump believes that the Republican Party, however, will rally around his side as he continues to seek the White House once again. Believes that his grievances, his criticism of this investigation will make Republicans feel like outsiders with the legal system, and he will try to stoke that feeling as he continues to move toward the nomination.
And supporters aren't deterred.
Who cares what he does with other women? I don't care, as long as was doing a good job running our country, which he was.
Trump's the first former president to face criminal charges. CBS News Special Report. I'm Monica Ricks.
WAUK 540 AM. New Berlin's choice for News Talk Radio. Streaming 24/7 at WAUKradio.com.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what you need to know. University of Wisconsin students will see their tuition go up for the first time in 10 years. The Board of Regents approved the increase yesterday. Wisconsin enacted a tuition freeze in 2013. But
did I pronounce his name correctly?
Ruzika.
7 other charges dropped, including sending threatening messages to Evers. He faces 5 years in prison when he's sentenced in June. In sports, the Bucks lost big to the Celtics last night, and Minnesota State's Mike Hastings is the Badgers' new men's hockey coach. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News.
Don't you deserve a job you love? Civic Media is preserving hometown radio, broadcasting from main streets across Wisconsin, and we're hiring radio advertising sales professionals to join our rapidly growing network of local radio stations. If you have a connection to your community, prior sales experience, and want to earn an outstanding living where you and your hard work is appreciated, you should apply right now. Find more information on our website, civicmedia.us. Click on the Careers tab.
On Tuesday, April 4th, we have a chance to elect people who will do the right thing for Wisconsin and for Waukesha. We need experienced leaders we can trust. Vote for Janet Protasewicz for Supreme Court, Fred Stram for Waukesha County Circuit Court, and Diane Voigt for Waukesha School Board. Janet, Fred, Diane, because we can trust them. Vote on April 4th. Your vote and your voice matter. Paid for by Blue Sky Waukesha.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden. Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Another summer day is coming.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair. And this weekend, the 97th annual Realtors Home and Garden Show returns to State Fair Park's Wisconsin Exposition Center on March 24th through April 2nd. More than 350 exhibitors will be there. And I know Jane's so excited.
I am. I love this show.
And so on the phone with us is Mike Ruzika, who is the president of Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors, to tell us what you could expect if you find yourself in the Home and Garden Show. Mike, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks a lot. I'm glad to be here.
So I guess Jane loves this show. I've never been to this show. So for those of us who've never been, explain what to expect at something like the Home and Garden Show.
Well, as you mentioned, there are 350 exhibitors, and they cover a whole range of from household appliances to windows, anything you need to improve your house. We really specialize in making sure that people know, that they can improve the curb appeal of their home, which is extremely important if you're thinking about selling or just to maintain the value of your house. Also, the interior. During the pandemic, a lot of people decided to really take stock of their house and improve the inside because they spend a lot of time in it. And that extends to like patios and a little bit of outdoor stuff. So we got, I think, 8,000 square feet of landscape displays. And it's one of the main features of our show historically. We've always had a lot of landscaping and outdoor displaying, and it's really a lot of fun.
And those landscape displays, Mike, are usually so spectacular. And considering the weather, at least tomorrow, is going to be terrible, and today is not so great, you can just go hang around on some of these patios and pergolas because they're so beautiful, and just pretend like they're like they're yours.
Yeah, today is a perfect day. This weekend's going to be a good time. The weather's going to be perfect outside to stay inside. And the show, a lot of people just kind of peruse the landscape area. And what's nice is there are a lot of rock walls and sitting areas in the landscape displays. You can kind of just hang out and kind of get a feel for it, and whether you like it, and kind of and picture it at your house as well.
And Kristen and her husband are new homeowners. So,
perfect.
Like you said, any question you have, anything you're thinking about installing, any drywall questions or basement guys or drain tiles or right. I mean, everybody's there.
Yeah, anything from shingles down to basement stuff. There's someone there that can answer any question. We also, if you go to the website, mkehgs.com, we have a list of all the seminars going on during the show.
Oh.
We have there's a seminar stage that does things like, how to do small plantings and things like that. And there's also a cooking demonstration stage. So between those two, there's stuff going on all day long.
And so I guess like when we were talking about sitting, are there people who just come and hang out, or is like when you go, is there stuff you should ask questions and talk to the different exhibitors? Is there any like activities as far as like hands-on like learning, or do some people just come and like is it a very zen situation as far as like the rock walls and just like chill out?
You can do both. A lot of people do come and walk around, and like I said, they'll talk to a few vendors that they're thinking about putting new windows in their house, just to get an idea of what's all involved in it. Just logistically, how long it takes to get the windows and the cost and all that kind of thing. And then people just hang out by the gardens and enjoy them.
And I will say, there are certainly things, little shoppy things, and people sell outdoor decorations and things you can put in your garden and things like that. You don't quite have the pitchers that the State Fair does with like the mop man, but there's stuff stuff to buy, certainly.
Yeah, no cream puffs, but we do have like garden gnomes, those types of things. There are a lot of like point of sale outdoor decorations and things like that you can really kind of spend a lot of time looking at and trying to decide whether it would look good at your house.
If you need yard tchotchkes, this is a good place to go.
Exactly.
All right. So I guess with the 350 different exhibitors, are they all Wisconsin companies, or are there people traveling from out of town? I guess both as exhibitors or even as people who are excited to go to the show.
We have a lot of there are a lot of local exhibitors. There are a few from out of town. A lot of the like Pella Windows, for example, is a national brand, but they have a local presence. We have both. There's the national companies and a lot of local ones as well. Actually, all the landscapers are local. Like Dean from Aquatica is probably the main feature when you walk in the front. Aquatica has a huge pool. It actually looks like a pond with koi fish in it, and they're one of a well-known local company.
We're talking to Mike Ruzika, who is the president of the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors, about the Home and Garden Show happening now. I guess it's not this weekend. It already started. It started on March 24th. And so I guess as 97 years, and I guess I don't know how long you have been president, but as far as how is this thing, I can't imagine, because I feel like modern day conventions and shows like this, I know what that looks like. Like I can see the pictures, but like, in the history of this show, do you have much like knowledge as how it's evolved over time?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Going back, decades, in the 50s, they used to actually construct a house on the State Fairgrounds, and then they would have a drawing for someone to win the house.
Oh, wow. Seriously?
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
What?
I can't imagine that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And so it really has evolved, and you have to evolve. You have to keep up with the times and changes and things like that. Now there's just so much technology involved in houses, from the Nest type of thermostats to the windows themselves. They've got a lot of technology involved, and appliances are crazy. They basically talk to you. So yeah, it has evolved a lot over even the last, I'd say, 15 years. It's changed a lot.
But I just have this picture in my head now, Mike, of 97 years ago. There were 5 guys sitting around. One's got bricks, and the other one has showing how to people make fire. I don't know. I just
yeah. How to decorate your cave.
Yeah,
exactly.
Early cave drawings 101.
And so, how has the show been going? I mean, since it started on the 24th, how has it been going?
Oh, good. Actually, our attendance is up from last year. Although last Saturday we had that snowstorm, so it kind of put the brakes on things a little while until the snow cleared up in the afternoon, and then the evening was pretty well attended. But this week we started back up on Wednesday. Thursday were really well attended. I was just at the show a little while ago, and the aisles are pretty full. And so we're expecting this last weekend to be really a good one.
Yeah, you should be pretty busy. Well, let's talk about real estate in general, Mike, in the Milwaukee area. You know, it was a seller's market for the last couple of years. Is that still the case?
Kind of. It depends on the price point. So, you know, if you look at prices above, say, 500 to 750 and up, it's a little bit slower. I wouldn't say it's a buyer's market, but it's definitely slower than it was, you know, during the pandemic. Under 500 is doing very well. We're not seeing multiple offers like we were during the pandemic to the extent we did during the pandemic. So there aren't 30 offers on a property, but they're, you know, a well-priced, good quality house, good school district, and good curb appeal. It'll probably get 2 or 3 offers on it.
And so interest rates, like the slowly but still climbing interest rates, has not taken down demand that much?
No, it hasn't. And the
Interesting.
reason is after the Great Recession, the banks and regulators got really specific and tight on their how much they would lend out to buyers. And so all the buyers that are around now are really good credit risks. So even though interest rates went up a little bit, it might knock some people out of the market because just increasing costs and they can't keep up with it hopefully for a short period of time. But the banks, when they evaluate buyers, they take into account, okay, you need a little extra money to purchase a house because interest rates went up, but there's still just incredible credit risks. So anybody that's out there buying can definitely buy and keep up with their mortgage. And so it hasn't, you know, it's slowed things down just because it's reduced the number of people that are eligible to buy or can buy. But overall, it hasn't been a horrible change in the market. And the interest rates are fluctuating. You know, I think they might be. I haven't checked them this week, but you know they're in the 6% range. I think one of the things buyers need to kind of readjust their mental framework around is that the days of 3% interest rates are probably gone.
Mm-hmm.
I always say interest rates are on sale over the last 10 years, and sale's gone now because just the economy and the dynamics have changed so much that the overall economy doesn't need those 3% interest rates. So they've kind of risen to 6%, which is kind of a sweet spot historically. Even 8%, 6 to 8% is really a good range. And so I think we're going to be in that area for quite a while. And now they're at 6%, which is you know, it's a good deal.
And it's interesting that you say that, Mike, too, because, yeah, I mean, interest rates were kept unnaturally low after 2008, and people kind of forgot about that and thought, well, this is just normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think we're going back to that. I think I think the market's going. The biggest problem we have right now is a lack of inventory. If we had inventory, prices would moderate a little bit, but there just is nothing in the under 500 range and condos. We desperately need those. The developers have been responding to the demand for housing by creating apartments over the last 10 years. And you know, apartments are part of the life cycle of housing, but they don't answer the desire for people to own a property. And that's and really overall, you know, the American dream is to own something and own property. And we've kind of forgotten that over the last 10 years. We really need to get back to that because it's detrimental for young people that are forming households and want to own a property. And if they can't, they're spending upwards of $2,000, if not more, a month on rent, which prevents them from saving it to put into a house and make a down payment. So it's causing a lot of problems that we're going to have to reckon with in the near future.
Well, and actually, that's an interesting point because I know Journal Sentinel a couple of months back wrote an article about this, especially in, like you said, the life cycle of living accommodations as people, boomers, my parents, you know, the age group of like this house is too big, but I don't want to go rent. Like it makes no sense. I've paid off my house. And so, so as far as like you said, there's this lack of new condos, and there's so few condos like in the Milwaukee area. And so what is the push and pull to like incentivize developers to make condos instead of apartments? Like, is there a government play there, or does it just come down to the market?
Yes, the government can definitely play a role. Everybody really plays a role. There's no silver bullet in this one. There certainly are some regulatory angles that we could take to reduce the amount of red tape involved in creating a subdivision, subdivisions or condos. The market lenders need to kind of look at what developments are a good risk. I think for the last 10, 15 years, they've kind of looked at it and said, this isn't, because of the Great Recession and so many banks got burned, they're kind of still, 15 years later, still kind of gun shy about it. So I think everybody needs to reevaluate the mix in the housing industry and realize that building apartments is not going to help anything.
Absolutely. All right. Well, one more reminder with the minute that we have left, where can people get information about the Home and Garden Show if they want to go there this weekend?
Go to hgsmke.com and all the everything that you need is there. The schedule, how to buy tickets. You can get a discount on tickets from Callan Construction. Everything is there. The whole schedule for the cooking stage and the solution stage.
And if you're looking for me tomorrow, find a pergola with a woman who's drinking a beer and eating a burger because I'm going to pretend.
Yeah.
All
There
right.
you go.
Mike Ruzika, thank you so much for spending time with us. He is the president of the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors. Go check out that show. It'll be a good time. Maybe Mike and I need to stop by to get some ideas for our house. All right, we're going to take one more break, and then when we come back, I'll let you know my best April Fool's story. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
It'll all be all right. I'll be home tonight. I'm coming back home.
Direct from the Dairy State, it's Extra Sharp Weekends, a 3-hour block of Wisconsin-produced radio, Saturdays and Sundays from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m., featuring Raised in Wisco with Joe Clayfish and Danielle Fairman, The Cripescast with Charlie Behrens, and Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown. Enjoyed by the slice or enjoy the whole darn block. Extra Sharp Weekends is radio so fresh, it squeaks. Listen in on the Civic Media Station or on the app. Monday morning at 8, don't miss Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, featuring legendary Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Football, life, and fun.
Earl, you've been driving a Yugo. They just gave you a brand new Ferrari with turbo boost. So enjoy it, brother.
Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Monday morning at 8 on the Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM WAUK.
Self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Finish your high school diploma for you and your family. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon, otherwise overcast. Highs around 60, southerly winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Overcast skies tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely, lows dip down to about 34. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow, a mixture of precipitation likely, daytime highs approaching 39. A dusting of snow tomorrow. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 57 degrees.
WAUK 540 AM, Brookfield's choice for news talk radio. Streaming 24/7 at WAUKradio.com.
She ain't real. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair, and it is almost the weekend.
So nice to talk to Mike Ruzika about the Home and Garden Show downtown. And I had completely forgotten when he talked about how banks pulled back after the crash in 2008. But when Paul and I were house hunting before we got married, and this was in 2002, and I had forgotten how much money banks wanted to give us. Because we asked for a certain amount, we asked for a certain amount, and they're like, no, you can have twice that.
Yeah.
And I said, no. Are you sure you don't want to borrow $300,000? Yeah, I'm really sure. I don't want to borrow $300,000. But you could get a whole lot more house.
I remember, because I was pretty, what would I have been? 22 in 2008 when everything came crashing down. So I certainly was not in like the real estate mindset.
I'm sure.
But I had friends, because that was when I was living in LA and I hadn't transferred to Berkeley yet. And so most of my friends in LA were older than me, and one worked in lending.
Oh.
And I remember, because they were all like 4 or 5 years older than me. And I do remember, and I didn't understand it because I was not one was never asked. I wasn't looking for loans or anything.
Right.
But I remember her, and she worked for like HB something, one of the big banks. And she got really mad at another one of our friends who is like kind of a floater as far as what his job ever was.
Okay.
And I still don't know the details of it, but I just remember that she was like, this is Brent, like, this is unbelievably unethical what you're doing. Because and I think what I think about it now and look back at it now that like I've seen The Big Short, is he got recruited by someone to be selling crappy loans.
Oh, man.
And she was on the side of like selling actual loans and knew the regulations and what was supposed to be happening. And I just remember her being really upset about it, me not understanding what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But looking like back at it, I was like, oh, that's exactly what they were talking about. Because I feel like, again, with The Big Short, they do a good job of showing that like there was like all these just like random schmoes.
Yes.
Because they were getting paid out on it, and just they didn't have very, like, obviously the credentials that they needed. And the whole system was just a farce.
Oh, it was. And unethical is only one of many words that could be applied to some of the shenanigans that went on with that. And if you've never seen The Big Short, it's an excellent, excellent film. Be prepared to be really ticked off after you watch it.
He's pretty good at that, Adam McKay.
Yeah.
Same thing as like after you see Vice, you're like, oh, yeah, like those guys were really bad too. On top of as bad as Trump feels, Bush and Cheney were really bad at everything that was going down as far as their ploy to get us involved in 2 very long, very expensive wars and the Patriot Act and everything. You're like, yeah, like that was bad. And now we're like, oh, well, like Bush, like he paints.
That's so God, I forgot about that.
It's like, he's just like a sweet old man and he's not Trump. So but you're like, oh, well, actually rewind. And so, yeah, wild times. But going in,
I want to hear your April Fool's story.
So this was a 2013, 2014. Do you remember the movie that came out? James Franco was in it, and it was called Spring Breakers.
Vaguely. I didn't see it.
I never ended up seeing it either, but it was supposedly god awful. And like it was, I didn't see it, but what I'm thinking of by memory is James Franco. Like, I think he had like a grill, but he was kind of like a seedy character that was in it, but it was mostly about these 4 young hot girls who were on spring break, and somehow they get like roped into like robbing banks or convenience stores something,
as one does.
But it was just, it looked awful. And somehow my brother and his girlfriend at the time had accidentally gone and seen it. Like they were somewhere, they were on a trip, they would decide to go see a movie, and they didn't realize what the movie was about, and they went and saw it, and his girlfriend was just like offended how bad this movie was.
Oh, I'd probably like her.
And my brother, and I think I was on a text chain with the 3 of them, but then my brother texts me separately and goes, hey, I'm going to text you on the other thread and pretend like you've seen this movie and that you really liked it. And so I was like, okay, whatever. So we lead her on. So I was in on the joke. It didn't happen to me. So we lead her on for probably an hour about, I start defending it from like an Our House like movie and like what the deeper meaning was. And I'm just making things up as far as why I liked this movie and was defending it. And he's with her in person. I'm in California, they're on vacation, and he's like kind of egging it on, and she's trying not to be rude to me, but is getting increasingly more and more angry
and agitated
and also like disappointed in me that I would even like this movie. And she like was starting to lose respect for me.
What kind of family am I dating into? This is wrong.
And I think I forgot at what point in the conversation we finally said, I was like, I haven't seen this movie, Natalie. Like, I'm like, I have no idea what we're talking about. And she obviously was embarrassed because she was so adamant about how could anyone like this movie.
And I would love to, if you could remember the defense you made of calling it an art house film about spring break. That's priceless.
I think, I'm pretty sure I made something about like the deeper meaning and how it's like an allegory for like this, that, or the other.
It's an allegory for a James Joyce story.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And so, see, I feel like that was his idea. I didn't come up with that, but I feel like that's like a harmless one. Maybe it's a little embarrassing because like, why do you care so much on her part? Of like, why did you let this get under your skin? Because it's like not that big of a deal.
Well, again, what kind of family am I dating into? This is not good.
So, but I think I wish I had better ones. I wish I was Jim Halpert and had more funny pranks that I just don't have
the time.
I don't have the patience or the time. I think that sometimes it takes to pull off a really good prank. But
well, keep in mind, tomorrow is April Fool's.
Yeah.
April 1st.
Keep your eyes out.
That's right.
But we will be
Watch
back
yourself.
On Monday. Bradley Whitford will be here at 1 p.m. So you should certainly come back and listen to that conversation. Otherwise, stick around for Dueling Tangents and the Chad Holmes Show. But we will be back on Monday at 11. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for tuning in to a week's worth of excellent shows. This has been As Goes Wisconsin.